Hey there, business owner. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. This is our weekly episode, and I'm so happy you are here. Let's get started. Hey there, entrepreneur. This is your host, Annette Walter. Welcome to this week's interview on the Entrepreneur Evolution Podcast. I am joined by Christopher Schafer. He is the owner and founder of Christopher Schafer Clothier. He founded the company back in 2010 and is celebrating his 10 years in business. And what a year it has been. We're going to hear his journey. We're going to hear his passion and a lot about his stories along the way, how he's grown the business and what his approach to the client experience is like. You're going to also hear about his expansion to the West Coast and a little bit more about him as a person and how he has really weathered COVID and learned a lot from the COVID experience that we've all been witnessing this year. As I record this, it's December and 2020 is coming to an end. I've been working with a lot of you along the way, coaching you in your businesses, talking to you about your businesses, looking at different operational strategies and process within your business to help you grow your team and scale your company and to survive and thrive. And I want to invite you personally to our bi-weekly Survive and Thrive membership call. This is a place where entrepreneurs just like you tap in and we host accountability calls and leadership development on a bi-weekly basis. If this is something that you are interested in, make sure you reach out to me. My email is yourock@IEvolveConsulting. And in the meantime, enjoy this episode. I know you are going to learn a lot from Christopher and you're going to really enjoy this segment. So sit back and I'll talk to you all soon. Keep evolving, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you. Well, hello, Christopher. How are you?
I'm great. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait to share your story with other entrepreneurs out there. How are things?
I'm keeping my head together. I'm doing okay.
Good. I'm trying to think back when we first met. I feel like it was maybe 07, 08. When did you start the company? Tell me that.
So we just turned 10 years old.
Okay. So, right?
October. So, October was 10 years old. So, which we were supposed to have a big anniversary party and everything and had to push that till hopefully May 1st. So we got to see where we are. Yeah.
Okay, good. So give us the backdrop. 10 years old. Tell us a little bit about the company and how you got going and how you got started. Then we'll catch everybody up to speed on today's snapshot.
Okay. So, started off where I had moved to London with my wife that was in 07. Went over there in 07 and that was where I learned how to design custom clothes while I was over there. And then we came back home. We were having a child, and then not long after I realized it was time to start my own business. And that was a real, I was talking with a professor yesterday and he called it the Great Recession. And I was like, oh boy, it's like, so that was about 10 years ago it started it up. And I just got off the phone with a friend of mine who's starting a business right now. And I'm helping him out. We're friends and he's done a lot of work with me and he's a really talented carpenter and he's done a lot of work around my studio and everything, but he's real nervous about all of it. And, and I was like, look, if starting something off in a difficult time just kind of makes things easier because you sort of go through some of the hardest of times. And that's what this is. I don't recommend everybody going and starting a business right now, but it's like when sometimes, there isn't always like the best time. It's the same thing with like having a baby. It's not always the best time. It's kind of like sometimes it's just the time,
Right.
So it's one of those deals. And when everything kind of aligns and you realize this is the time, then you just do whatever it takes to make it fly. And so now, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on 10 years and what it took to grow it and where things have been and where we are now. And this whole COVID time has given me a lot of time to enjoy, like the fruits of my labor a bit. And thank God, like we had really been, over the last several years, been making a lot of reinvestment back into the business. So that kind of like, I feel like this is like a big hold steady. I just kind of got to hang on and not really go a million miles off from staying in our lane, and, waiting for it to run its course. That's what it feels like.
Absolutely. And, it's so interesting when you do hit those big mile markers in your business where you can look back and have that perspective, and then talk to another entrepreneur and give that advice and remember how you felt in the beginning. So how would you say, the beginning days are different than today's days?
Oh my God. I mean, in the beginning, it was, I had to sell off I had to sell off my old motorcycle and car. They had an cool old car, and it was a lot of sacrifice of and that's tough when you have things that are already like bought and paid for, and then you need to sell them to invest into yourself. Because like I didn't have the I couldn't. I had to use my own personal credit. I couldn't get business credit. It was a new business, and that's where now it's like I get phone calls all the time where someone seems like they want to loan you money. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's no thanks. I'm good now. So so it was a lot of it was more like opposite of what it is now, because I was kind of just I think of course I look back a bit, and the first couple of years was like not going on vacation, and I needed my momentum to stay going and my mind to stay in what I was doing, and I was really driven to not have to work for someone that didn't understand me again, because I couldn't take it anymore. And I knew that I had the work ethic, and I knew that I had the entrepreneurial spirit. And because when I look at all the things that I've done beforehand, even when I was working for other people, I think that there's an owner mindset and there's an employee mindset. And even if you work for someone, but you have an owner mindset, then you understand that everything costs money and what it goes to take into a business. And frankly, if you have that kind of mindset and you're not having to actually take the financial risk of it, you can be an amazing employee for somewhere. But I never really found my right spot, and it took me kind of creating my own. And I love it. It's like thinking about it being 10 years. It's crazy to think a decade, but I can't imagine if I didn't take the leap. But, now it's like we were talking earlier and you're asking me about Seth, and, he's
right. Your son.
He's been for 7 years. He's been working with me for 7 years. And then 2.5 years ago, he went to California and opened up a shop out there. And that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have, a lot of jobs, there's nepotism, everything. You can't have people that are related working together. So being able to work with your son, and then he becomes your business partner. And I mean, so it's what a ride. 10 years, it's a big number for sure. And a lot of I did not think that we would be where we are right now. That's for sure.
Right. No one would have ever, expected a global pandemic like this, but, but you're surviving and regrouping. And like you said before, staying in your lane of where you are strong, right?
Yep. You have to. That's the thing. I think a lot of people will try and go all over the place. And it's like the jack of all trades, master of none, so I don't want to do that. I want to wait it out. And, I know that people aren't dressing up as much as they used to right now, but that'll change after a while. Everybody's been casual for 8 months, and so at some point when the events start up and everything like that, people start dressing up again. And thank God, though, it's like people still been getting married, because we make a lot of suits for weddings.
Oh, so that's great.
And that has, that's changed a lot, that, the people aren't having weddings with 200 people, it's like, everything is downsized. And then it's been really interesting to see how people are adapting to that, because they still want to get married, and how do they change it? And, what do they, because, we've seen people who've done, went backyard weddings, or had someone who got married at Yosemite, and they sent us these photos that were just stunning. And they wouldn't have done that before, they would have went more route. And so, it's been pretty interesting. And, it's definitely a lot of adapting to the way things are right now, and waiting, and having patience.
Right. Well, a couple of things I've always admired as an entrepreneur, watching you start the business and grow the business, is you can tell you are a hustler. You did everything and anything. I remember seeing you at events in the beginning and multiple events. And it just was that constant hustle, and you being the brand, you being there, and you being present, and you making that intimate connection with clients, because you could tell that you were that purposefully connected to the quality of your product and the experience of your product. So, and that is what made you unique in your marketplace for custom clothing, right? So tell me how that sparked in the beginning. What gave you the ideas for your kind of experience, and explain that to the audience a little bit, because your experience is so cool.
Thank you. So, you know, I think that as you go down the road of life is that, you've had different jobs and you've worn different hats over the years, is that, when you run your own business, you find that you pull from that bag of tricks, and for me, I had, I've been a musician all my life, and I really, so the, being, gathering people together and having large events and making things fun, and like even my studio has a stage in there, and it's got a very eclectic, it's kind of a loft setup that's just an interesting, colorful place that that really is a cool spot where someone can hang out for a while and we can talk, because it's not a normal like walk into a store, grab the stuff. It's more of a conversational, getting to know the person. And and I'm really fortunate that I get to work with a lot of interesting people who have interesting stories, and then they're not just clients, they're people that are friends, and they take an interest in your business and you in their business, and it's like, it's sort of a blend between like the barber, the bartender, the psychiatrist, you know what I mean? It's like, and you put
the piano player, right?
I love that stuff though. You know what I mean? It makes it, I
so
feel
cool.
like do my job to design someone's clothes. I like to know who they are, and like, and how do they want to present themselves, and how much do they want me to push them a little bit, and how much do we want to kind of keep it safe. But I feel like most people want to have clothes made for them. I'll get people to tell me all the time that they don't have style and everything like that. I'm like, look, you came here because you knew what you didn't know, and it's the same thing. It's like there's there's people that I hire to do stuff that I don't know how to do, and so it's the same kind of thing where you get somebody who's a professional in something, and I've been doing this for a long time, so I kind of know how to make clothes fit people and how to make them look really good in them, and then they feel good in them, and then they wear them out amongst their peers and everything, and they feel great. I mean, there's definitely something to be said about when you look good, you feel good. So it's not just a cliche. It's definitely true.
It definitely is true, and it helps with confidence. It helps in how you carry yourself, and your conversation and your engagement with people, and how you really show up. It's such a powerful thing. And you can tell when someone is wearing one of your suits, whether it's the little touches inside, or the amazing patterns, or simply just the quality. When you hug someone, you can just simply tell that it's one of your suits, which is amazing. So what's been one of the best investments you've made along the way in your business?
Oof. I think that, early on, the biggest investment that I made early on, and one that had no, it wasn't like you pay for this and you get that. It was, I invested into a very high-end networking group, and it was, it really had to stretch my vision, because I needed to get, I'm from Baltimore, and I know a lot of people here, but a lot of people that I knew prior to going to London were people that were more in the music and art scene and everything, because that was where I was spending my time. And so I came home from England, and I had this whole new, things changed when I was there. It's like I got introduced to fine menswear, and and we lived in this beautiful house that was in Kent, and it was on this, it was a guest house on this 20-acre estate, and we had a remote control gate to open the door, and it was like, it really, and I was making clothes for a lot of bigwigs that were in London, and I got to see things differently. And so when I came home, I needed to get connected with the people that could afford the clothes, because I didn't know those people that I knew didn't dress that way. So I had to make this big investment into getting into the right rooms with the right people so that they would know me and give me a chance to work with them. And that was the first big investment. And then, when you make big investments on something, you want to see the return on it, especially when you necessarily can't quite afford, when you're doing everything you can to afford it. That was probably one of the biggest things, and then, as of more recent, it's that I stock a lot of cloth at my studio, so so you're not just looking at a swatch books, because a swatch of fabric is about yay big,
right.
And it's pretty difficult for people to envision what 4 yards of it would look like to make a suit. So I have lots of cuts of fabric that are there, and you can take them and drape them over somebody, but it's like doing those, I usually buy the fabric like 100 yards at a clip, and it's expensive stuff. And so but it also, I think it says something when you come into my place and you see that fabric there and you do the math of what you realize that it's like, I am, prior to COVID and everything like that, I made the investment to go, all in, you know what I mean? So we expanded the shop 2.5 years ago, because, backing up a little bit before that, is that 4 summers ago, both of my parents passed away 2 months apart. And when they did, it definitely like triggered something in me of, you're not here forever. And I was already kind of seeing that I was sort of switching to more of like a legacy business anyway, something that could live on after me. And when they passed away, it was like that was when it was after that, I guess, a year or so after that is when Seth was moving to California. And I really gave him the chance to sort of run the shop before he left, so he could see what that was like. And then when he left, then I was really right back in the driver's seat 100%. And I started just redoing the shop, and I got the opportunity to expand it to next door, and just made it. It's like we have like 5,000 square feet in Baltimore right now, and it's this cool loft space. And, so I really just went all in with everything. And then with expanding the space, it gave me room to bring in some other products that accessorize well off of what we do, some high-end shoes and cologne and everything like that, just to sort of really give it a feel of the whole place of, this is all the stuff that we stand behind, that everybody, no one else in town is carrying this stuff. And it's without being pretentious, what I mean? I think that's the other part of it, is like, we're doing very high-end work and not being pretentious about it, which I think, I don't think that stuff really flies, and not just in Baltimore, just in general. It's like, I think that it's better to give a guy an education about what it is that, you don't need to go, and it's better just to speak with someone, teach them about what it is that they're buying, so that they understand what it is that they're getting, and it makes it better. So yeah, there's been several investments along the way, but the last one was, going all in, because it's like, I took my inheritance, I took my savings, I took a line, and I just was like, and just everything. And then after I was kind of like, okay, everything is just perfect. Not, because I was trying to get it all ready for the 10-year, for starting the beginning of 2020.
Right.
And usually springtime is a really good time in my business. And so this year COVID hit, and we had to shut down for 3 months, like, and then it was sort of, because we're in Baltimore City, and Baltimore City's been a little bit different from the state. They're usually like a half step behind what was going on. So it's been a tricky year, that's for sure.
It sure has been a tricky year, and there's so many other people out there in the audience that can relate to everything you're saying with, we were on the top of the wave going into 2020, everybody really felt great closing the books in 2019 and saying, wow, this is going to be such a great year. And it simply taught us something different that we weren't expecting, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons in all this, and I think that's the thing, is like, we all need to kind of take that in, and then put it into action. For me, I know it's given me a lot of time, which has been awesome, frankly. I mean, it's like I have lost money and gained time, and I think when you when you run a business, you know that it's like, it's not time is money, because it's like, there's some things you can't put a price on. It's just that you realize that when you want to go on vacation, and then you're not might necessarily be getting paid at that time, unless you have a recurring revenue source or have a slew of people working for you or something. But it's like, you realize that, that it cost you. I mean, I remember, it's like, when I would want time off, I would have to block it out on my schedule and be like, I'm going out of town at this time. And I'll have to, I remember saying to myself, as I was really busy, I had to schedule spontaneity. You know what I mean? I had to be like, okay, these days I'm like, I want, like, I'm not seeing any clients. I'm going to sort of let whatever happen. And now it's been like, a ton of time, a ton of time available. So, but you gotta, right in the beginning of all this, I made the decision of like, I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to stay healthy through this. I don't know how long it's going to last, because I remember reading this thing right in the beginning of COVID, and it was talking about two different perspectives on this. The one was a parent's perspective, and the other one was a child's perspective. And a parent's perspective was, oh my God, I'm losing money. I don't know what's going on. Scared of everything. And then the kid's perspective was, they would look back on this and say, do you remember when we didn't have to go to school for all that time, and we got to spend a bunch of time with our parents, and we were outside all. And I just remember thinking, because I have young kids at home too. So it's like, I think my relationship with them has got better and better and better, because I'm just with them all the time. And I've kind of do my own version of homeschooling with them, where we build all kinds of stuff. And, it's like, in kind of like I call it the Rad Dad Academy, but it's basically like life skills and skateboarding is pretty much what it comes down to.
I love that. And I've always been in awe of your amazing skateboard park in the backyard. I'm like, I need to bring my boys, because it's like, and you can teach them that through that quality time and a hammer and a nail and building things. It's amazing what you can really teach your kids right now. I love that. The Rad Dad Academy. That's awesome.
I've had my friend, I want to be in the Rad Dad Academy.
Like, I love how you named it too.
We've built all kinds of stuff, and that's been pretty interesting, because some of the stuff, it's like, well, right now, my kids are in school in Baltimore County, and the computer system got hacked, and there's ransomware on it, and they haven't been in school since Wednesday. And so like, they're talking about doing some tests on the computers today. I don't know if they're saying they're going to be able to go back to school. I don't know what that looks like right now. So, it's, that just means all the more time that I'm spending with them. But I'm fortunate that I do have a team of people. I have help, so it's like that kind of, it makes it work. And the belief that, like, this too shall end, you know what I mean? And so when it does, it's going to be time, like, after having my own business for 10 years, I realized that it's like, when this comes back around and I get back to being busy again, I'm going to have to pay the piper for the time off. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the way it goes. You know what I mean? And so when that happens, then I'll be real busy again. And I look forward to it, but I can't speed up that process at all. It's going to run its course.
Right. And when the guilt kind of slips in when you're having downtime, it's a great reminder to say, this too shall pass. This will all change, gears in one way, shape, or form. And I'm going to miss this time, really, with my kids. I'm going to miss it.
I don't think people are quite like getting that, because, and now, because you're hearing more and more talk of the vaccines and what it's looking like moving forward. And so, like, that's all kind of on the horizon, that, that's going to be, because this stuff kind of has to end, really. It's like we were talking a little bit about the nonprofit, and like, we had to give up the space that we were housing all the clothes in, because we had been paying rent on it for 8 months and haven't been able to go and suit the guys up. It's just been housing clothing sitting there.
Right.
And it's not the best use of our money to pay for a place that just has clothes sitting there, right. So we decided that on the last the Sundays in November, we were doing suit giveaways that were open to the public. And we did one on Sunday and had like 150 people that showed up.
That's amazing.
There was like, I came around the corner and there's a line of people going down the street, And so we cleared a lot of inventory out because we were letting people have, if it fit, the rule was if it fits you, you can have it. And so people, they were getting all kinds of stuff. And we had, there was guys in there that were getting clothes to get married in. And, and I heard someone say that they were like, this made my holiday. And I was like, it felt so cool to be in a position to be able to go and do that and help people. And so, so it's like we had to go and we had to let go of the place, but we had I have a friend of mine the guy that does woodwork, I was telling about, who's starting the business, that he's done a ton of work around my studio and stuff in my house and everything like that. Really talented guy, but he decided to start his own business doing woodworking, right? Making furniture, all kinds of stuff. And so he, like a year ago or something like that, when he was sort of trying it out, doing it kind of like on the side, he had set up a woodworking shop upstairs at Sharp Dressed Man, because the place was 3,000 square feet per floor, and it was 3 floors.
Wow.
So it was a big space, and we were only using the first floor and a bit of the second floor for overflow storage. And so he set up a shop on the second floor and used it for a while, and then didn't have the time for all of it, pulled everything out of there. And then he decided the beginning of November that he was starting his own business and asked if he could move back in. And the deal used to be he used the space and he paid our electric bill. So it was a good like win-win,
Absolutely.
So he decided to go and start off on his own, and he moved back in upstairs. And so I just worked out a deal where he's going to stay upstairs and he's going to pay a fraction of the rent to stay upstairs. We're clearing everything out of the first floor. We're going to take our furniture and furnishings and everything and put that all stored upstairs, and just put everything on ice for a while. And hopefully, unless the place gets totally rented out by someone, which I don't think that's going to be the case right now, is that we don't have to pay rent. Our stuff is still in the building. He's using the upstairs for a wood shop, which he needs the space. And we just hold steady. We're not taking donations of clothing in. We need to see an end in sight so we can get back to doing what we're doing. And I got to see that on Sunday. We were rocking, and it felt amazing. It was like when you get all the people coming through, and everybody's so happy, and they're going shopping for free. They're getting cool clothes all over the place, and that was pretty awesome. But that was that we were
emotional.
Yeah, it's hard because we got that place 2.5 years ago, and I was the one that found it, and then we worked really hard to fix it all up and really make it our own, and it was really working for us. And but when you're 8 months into paying rent, and you can't, we opened up in June, and we tried. It was like it didn't work. It wasn't the same, So it was cool to kind of go out with a nice little bang and really help out a lot of people, and especially right as you're going into all the holiday season and everything like that. Yeah, so it's like, but I think my intuition tells me we're gonna be able to go back into that space. But the thing is with this time is you don't know when this is over. When you're dealing with a problem that has where it's finite, if you do ABC, then you're good, and that's not where we are right now. You know what I mean? That's what makes this all so tricky to everyone that's running a business or a nonprofit or anything. It's like you don't know when it ends, and so that's a change that we needed to make. And even like in my studio on Alisana, the space where we expanded the space to next door, and we took over the space that used to be Baltimore Magazine's photo studio, and we fixed it up and everything like that. And I put my stage over there. And a couple months ago, I had a friend of mine that's a photographer out of Annapolis, and he was retiring. And got an email, saw he was retiring, and I called him up to congratulate him, right? Because he's like, this guy was like, he was like one of the best wedding photographers. And then he started doing portrait work, but he was really doing beautiful high-end work, and we used to refer business to each other and everything like that. So I called him, had a conversation with him, And I said, hey, if you ever want to just photograph again, because he was selling his studio in Annapolis. He had this beautiful studio in Annapolis. And I said, if you ever just want to photograph again, I have a photo studio at my place. And if you want to come up and shoot, because I know you're still going to want to photograph every once in a while, I said, you can use the space. And he came up and he had a couple ladies that he had mentored, brought them up. They checked out the space, fell in love with it. And they were like, we started talking. I said, look, I'll let you use the place for free for a while, because the girls wanted to go and they wanted to continue his business as he retired.
Okay.
Because the business would have died with him because it was in his name. It's Hartcorn Studios. And so Cassie and Mariana are based out of Baltimore anyway. And so gave them the opportunity to use the photo studio, and they started getting some success, and now they're subletting me. So I had to make some changes. I had a space where basically was set up as kind of like an event space that I can't use it as an event space because people can't gather. Right. I gave a friend an opportunity to go and get their business up and running, and it's working for them. And now they're going to sublet it from me, and it helps it. So this is all about like, okay, how do I sort of keep this? How do I keep it all together? When you see that the writing's on the wall of like, you have to. It's kind of like change or die, really, right?
Right. Well, and you're doing it all through the power of connection, and you're doing it all very authentically, which is just, you are just a real amazing down-to-earth person, and you can just sense that in the first conversation someone has with you. And at the same time, you are tapping into your creativeness. You're making creative decisions that are creating win-wins for those around you in the best way possible with where we are right now with our landscaping. So it's just, those stories are inspiring to hear. They're uplifting to hear. And you're right. It's like we used to kind of go into the next year and plan out far more in advance than we are doing right now. It seems like it's down to the second planning right now, right? Second by second, minute by minute, day by day, week by week. And as you said, we are going to get through this, and this too shall pass. So what are you looking forward to when this does pass, as far as future growth, the next 10 years, and where you are with things?
Well, I love to travel. So that's, we're considering going and doing some travel again soon, because we have an RV and it's kind of like its own sort of home on wheels. Yeah. So we might do that because we're kind of all itching for some sun, so might do that. But I'm looking forward to, I'm really, it's like the nature of my business is thinking a season ahead. Right? Because it takes a while to make custom clothes. So we're going into winter and I'm thinking spring. That's sort of just embedded into me, So when I'm thinking about spring, I'm thinking about, okay, hoping that things can be in the kind of place where we could have, we took our 10-year anniversary, moved it to May 1st, and it's a 10-and-a-half-year anniversary. So we're trying to see, and we have a theme for it. The theme is black and pink because that's the colors of the business. So we were looking for everyone to wear, to have black or pink or something in what they're wearing, and kind of do it as a theme thing like that. So I'm looking forward to that, because I miss a big party. I miss crowds. Like I said, I've been playing music all my life. I missed live music. I like that's something that is a big part of me. And and I have friends that are musicians, that are full-time musicians, and I see how much they're struggling with everything. So I'm looking forward to all that. And then also, right all around that time in springtime, if things go according to plan, is that it would be our 3-year anniversary for the West Coast. And so I would love to be able to go back to the West Coast, because I haven't been there since February. Wow. I'd love to go there, celebrate his 3-year, come back, celebrate our 10-and-a-half-year. And then it's also my niece's wedding. So it's like, they would be like it'd be like the end of April, beginning of May, and then the week after in May. So that would be a really big spring if we are in place for that. And then, then it's got to be, being realistic about stuff, is saying, we're going to be down from off this year. So it's like, it's like, I feel like it's a pendulum, and it's got, it's got to get to the top, and then it's got to swing back. You know what I mean? So it's not going to happen like that. It's going to take a while for it to come back up, and then we can get back into growth mode. I have a young guy that works with me who's been doing a great job, and he's been getting quite an education throughout all of this. And what we talk about is the idea when this is all said and done, and he's still in college and it'll be done in about a year or so, is, when this is all said and done and he's really got the education that he needs, is would we want to open up a shop in another city? And so you got to have that. He's really taken on the apprentice role, really solid. He's been with me for almost 3 years. And, we took that approach of it's going to take you a couple years to sort of really work it out. And I like being able to have people that work with me and they ride it out. Too many people want to bail when it gets tough. They want all the great stuff that comes later. And I tell them clear as day, it's going to be hard. And it's like, as it would be for anything. Right. But like, but I'm real fortunate that it's like, I've been able to walk my son through it. And now he's, living kind of like a dreamland in Los Angeles. And then Casey, who's with me here now, he's got a good life going on, And so I like seeing that with people because I think everybody gets put to the test, right? Everybody is somewhere along the line, you get put to the test. And, and so it's all about like, it's the personal responsibility part of, are you willing to go and do what it takes to make it happen? And if you are, it's like, and that's why it's interesting for me to have three people, it's two different businesses that are in my life that I'm helping in some way, because it does remind me of what it was like to start off. And when you talk with someone about that, it's as real as it was yesterday, and I can tell them, hey, look, this is 10 years down the road for me, but I did this, and that, and that's why I am where I am now. And if you do the same thing in your own business, it's like it will come over time. But the first 5 years for me was a full time, all the time. You know what I mean? And so, that's why I think that I'm in a position where I can kind of ride this a little bit now. It's not where I want to be, but it's the accepting of saying this is where it is right now, and and hoping that there's some change that's coming that's going to get people back to dressing up and wanting to be in crowds and having a good time and celebrating and all of that good stuff. So that I'm looking forward to that, when people can gather and people can, I don't know, people are going to shake hands again. I wish, you know what I mean? And hug. And like that was one of the toughest things at first, when you greet somebody and you're like,
I know.
Yeah, that's been a casualty of all this. And who knows if it ever comes back or not. I don't know.
We don't know, but I know that I will be looking forward to listening to this again in June, to see where we are with things. So I hope all your predictions are right, and all of the celebrations that you look forward to. I look forward to kind of seeing you enjoy them, which is good.
I hope so.
It's so great. You really do light up people's spirit. You just radiate a really powerful and positive energy, and you make people's souls like just happier, just not only on the outside appearance side, but you really do make an impact and give back to the community and to people around you. It's a really great quality.
Thank you. That was very nice of you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So what would you like to leave us with? How can we help you? How can this audience help you? Obviously, when they are ready to be suited up, they're going to be first in line for you, of course. My husband is a huge fan, and I know a lot of other of the awesome men in my life love your stuff as well. And tell us how we can help you grow. What do you need? What's your ask?
So what we're doing right now is that, the holidays are upon us. And so we do have some awesome gift ideas for guys.
Good.
We've recently put together some gift boxes of different prices that people can get, because part of, like I said, when we expanded the shop, we got into, we started adding things like cologne and grooming products. We have Baxter, which is from California. Stuff smells amazing. Their soaps and shampoos are great. Socks. We started making masks because of, we started making masks in the springtime, and they're made out of really nice shirt fabric. So we have also, we're doing gift boxes that are like 50, 150 and 250. So we're doing that and doing gift certificates. So that's kind of like where we are for the holidays. And then we kind of get through the holidays. So that's kind of what's happening right now, is just sort of working with that, seeing where that's going to go. That's, and then usually ride it out to the end of the year. And then usually with us is that things will hit a little bit of a lull in the beginning of the year. And then once you get, for us, like I said, we do a lot of wedding work. So between Christmas, New Year's, and Valentine's Day is like when most proposals happen. So then usually kind of kicks us off into the spring. So again, thinking spring is like, that's really what I'm hoping. We have a short winter, really. You know what I mean? I'm like just hoping that it's kind of like, let's get this over and done with so we can get on the spring and people can be out there again. But, I think the biggest thing right now is like just people staying safe and getting through this whole thing and, and enjoying having some downtime and hoping that we can just pull together to get through this and move forward and get back to really, enjoying each other's company again, because it's like, it's not the same doing everything through your phone and everything like that.
It is
different. I've been keeping myself busy with activities and doing things, but I'm like, I really want to get back to that part of like being around people more and everything like that. So, I hope that that's coming soon and that we all do our part to what it's going to take to make that happen sooner than later.
Absolutely. I'll drop the link for the gift boxes. I love that idea. And I think that that's just those are great price points too, to just kind of have that custom, package that's not a gift card. It's like a really unique gift experience.
It's great too. They really do. It's like they're, these black boxes with tissue paper. I mean, it's like, we really put together some cool stuff to make it so that, like take the approach of, if we receive that, would you like it? And it's something cool and something different,
right. Absolutely.
So, yes. It's like we can do this stuff. We got to do curbside or what, I feel like we're kind of going back into, I feel like the phase one stuff is coming back around is what it feels like. Mentally preparing for that too.
Right. Absolutely.
Yep.
So as we wrap up here, what are your words of wisdom or your personal mantra or motto that you kind of go to as your quote that gets you through things? Is there anything that you like to repeat or say?
In the beginning, when I started the business, the mantra was, I never want to work for anyone ever again in my life. And I would go, and if I was going to, if I was going to networking events or whatever, or if you weren't in the right mindset and how you get yourself there, I would remind myself of that over and over again. And I still think that way because I love what I'm doing. I love the creative control to do things, to do them the way that I see them, which I've learned over the years is that, not everyone sees things the same, and the way that I see them, I have a different vision on them, and I can appreciate people that don't. I'm married to a mechanical engineer. We do not see things the same way. I know. So,
I don't think I ever knew that about you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Talk about opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
So, I can respect that. I can respect that people see things differently than I do. Yes.
That's great. Well, you are amazing. You are the original rock star, Christopher Schafer. I'm so happy you were here today. I know that everyone listening just is going to get so many great nuggets of information and encouragement and inspiration from this interview today. So thanks so much for being here. I loved our time together.
Me too, but you're good at this. Look at you.
I just love entrepreneurs. I love their stories. I love them helping one another and feeling surrounded. And you just kind of gotta try something different. And we would have never had this time together had we not had this podcast, right?
Maybe it's not pallets anymore. Maybe it's the net shows coming at you.
That's right. A little bit of everything, right?
This is about doing things that you like doing. You like connecting with people, and you've found another way. And that's, I think the words of wisdom would be that, are you doing things that you like doing? And if you're not, what are you doing to change that?
Right.
You
Absolutely.
know, no one can say they don't have the time anymore. That's out the window. You know,
Right.
it's like, and you know, it's about creating the world that you want to live in. I've been in, been in a little bit of a bubble of my own recently, which works for me. You know, it's like, you know, you got to circle the wagons a little bit right now. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that it definitely create the world that you want to live in, and hopefully that other people enjoy being in that with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what I think draws people in. And you know, try and have as much fun as possible. Life is short. You know, life is definitely short.
Right. Amen
Yep.
to that.
Amen.
Awesome. All right, Chris, I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye. Wow, what an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@iEvolveConsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.